Now, welcome to the show. That is Lev Parnas. Lev remembers Substack. That's where you can find him. My name is Dean Blundell. Substack.com. That's where you can find me. Very sobering words, very off the cuff, very honest, because you just got a piece of our conversation. None of this is made up. This is all authentic. We're here to do the weekend roundup, and what a weekend it was. And Lev is busy trying to protect democracy, trying to read the tea leaves, have conversations with people nobody else has within the Trump regime in the White House. We're going to download some behind the scenes information today about what is exactly at play here when it comes to the monetization and the martyrdom of one Charlie Kirk. We've got blasphemy laws that are currently on the table. We've got arrests from people in Texas who dissented from their opinion that the state wants you to have of Charlie Kirk. We have hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into certain super PACs. We've got grifts. We've got sad widows. We've got empathy. We have honesty. And we're going to kind of cover it all because it all leads back to what we're seeing happen over in Europe, happen between the EU, NATO, and Russia. It's on the brink. What's we're not talking about, too, we're going to deal with that because it's all part of the plan. And what is the overarching theme here? What is the Trump regime getting at? And what are you hearing in terms of the who's, the what's, the where's, the when, and the whys, and what the real end game is behind the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk and much more? That, of course, is my friend Lev. And I think Dawn asked a really great question to start the actual show today. Your son, Aaron Parnas, is a superstar, and he's not left, he's not right, he's honest, he's centrist, he tells the truth, he brings facts. You do the exact same thing, and we've seen a real introduction of violent rhetoric, threats over the weekend. I know my count is 46. I don't know what yours is. Not sure where Aaron is. I know he posted from the Parnas perspective a real, hey guys, I'm okay. I'm just going to keep doing my job. But how are you doing today, and how's Aaron doing? How is the Parnas family doing? Because it's been a heavy weekend for both of you.
Yeah, no, it's thanks for having me, Dean. And it's again, I feel like fucking Groundhog's Day. It's like
Yeah.
one day, here we are again. Here we are saying, I just felt like last week we said it was the craziest week, something that we haven't, can't even imagine. The week before that, we said that. But this week, it was a doozy. And the things you've touched on and we're talking about. First of all, I want to thank everyone out there. Thank you for all the support, the shout. I read the DMs, the messages. My wife, from the bottom of my heart, for each and every one of you, for my son, thank you. The love and love you so much. And that's, kind of what we need right now. We need that support, all of us together, to get through this, because we are about to, as those of you that read my Substack earlier today, as I wrote, we're entering a perfect storm. And this is probably might be the last warning that we have if we do not act now. I don't know if we're going to get another chance, folks, because I'm not going to go, just like me and Dean were talking about prior to going on, we're not going to go into a conspiracy theory laid out episode here of why certain things happen the way they happen and the timing of their happening and who it benefited the most. But I could tell you one thing, the fact that it did happen, the fact that, there was an assassination of Charlie Kirk during such a crucial timing in a period while we're watching our own democracy being ripped apart, while we're watching Trump losing mega at the time because of the Epstein files having such momentum, the survivors finally getting a chance to speak, while we're watching, NATO uniting around the EU, around Ukraine, while Trump actively is walking away from Ukraine. While all of this is happening, the one thing that they didn't have, that was happening, is that we were reporting on, is that were cracks. There were cracks. There was division. There was people like, you had their damn Banginos, you had people at each other's throats, going after each other because of the Epstein files, or because of the way he reacting to the Middle East, or because of certain immigration stuff. But, tariffs, so much things going up. And then here we have the mega, whatever you want to call it, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And once it happened, the first thing I did is, if those of you that read what I've been writing, as I said, that Donald Trump is very scared. Now, I don't want to take away from the fact that Charlie Kirk was somebody very, very close to MAGA, very close. They deeply, besides everything else, are taking this personally. This is a big hit to a lot of people. For you could say a lot of things about him, and he had spewed a lot of vile stuff. But for them, he was their darling. He was darling. So yes, there was already a lot of love, and he did do certain stuff that I truly believe he gave Trump the victory with the young vote and going out to the campuses and going out there and being able to be smarter than most of them by being creative and in his debate styles. But that doesn't excuse to what his messaging was, which was vile. His messaging was, white supremacist. His messaging was,
Black women don't have brain processing suppressing power, and let's whip and shoot migrants, and celebrated the death of George Floyd, called him a scumbag, and continually, yeah. I mean, it to your point, all the rhetoric is there, yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing as like, yes, was he a human being? Absolutely. But there's a lot of bad people out there that were human beings and were powerful to their followers, to their cult, to their beliefs. But that doesn't mean that something that the whole world should take as our lesson and to follow and believe. And that's what's happening right now. That's what they're doing. And that's the scary part. And that's the first thing. Donald Trump's first phone call when he was speaking to Erica, my sources told me, was not only was he consoling her and talking to her, but he was really, pushing the notion of that, the movement needs to keep going. The void needs to be filled. And that's why I think we saw that when she came out and made that speech. And again, I'm not attacking her in no way, shape, as a grieving wife or mother, and she has all the right to say, do whatever she wants. That's what makes our country great. But you could tell, and again, that certain things and certain ways that it was prescribed and motion as they, them, the
others, evildoers, yeah.
The terminology that was to incite, that was to push, and we've seen the results. I mean, you've seen that over the weekend they've raised more money, they've opened more chapters, and they've basically done us. I mean, they've divided our country to such a degree, and now they've used, I mean, his death to. I mean, just think about again. That's not to, I'm not trying to limit anybody. They have everybody has every right to, mourn however they want, but to make a skeptical. What you saw yesterday at the Kennedy Center, you had 83 congressmen, the speeches, the way they were talking to him. I don't think they spoke about that way about any president of the United States. I mean, the flying on Air Force Two, the coffin, the
honor guard reception for his coffin. Yeah.
It's again,
the Medal of Freedom that Trump promised him. I mean, I watched a couple clips today, and we'll kind of dig into the monetization of the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk and what it means and the strategy behind it, and what Trump wants from your sources that you're hearing, because this was a lifeline. But I'm watching part of his funeral today. Anna Paulina Luna went up there and talked about how Charlie Kirk will go down in history with other martyrs who stood up for, what was right. It's what she said, what was right. And she likened him to Martin Luther King, JFK, and RFK.
Okay, I almost choked when you said that, but that's the whole thing, and that's the scary part. That's what we're watching play out, and the scary part of it all is that at such a crucial time where we had such division, where it's being wiped away by this, is the cover up of the Epstein files. I mean, the biggest cover up in American history, folks, is basically just got cemented. And I know, yes, we're going to we're not going to let it die out. We're going to, use our platforms. We're going to speak up. We're going to speak truth to power. And yes, he's going overseas right now, right where, but I don't think the media has the courage. I don't think the media is going to stand up and ask questions right now. I think there's no world leader. I mean, look what look at. I mean, again, I'm sorry. I mean, what did Charlie Kirk have with the New York Yankees that they had to put the memorial on their screen?
The Washington Commanders, dude, there were like 20 NFL teams that had a moment of silence for him this weekend. There's been 12 Major League Baseball teams that had moments of silence for him this weekend in states that had nothing to do with him. And I need to draw attention to this. Everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, we got several hundred people. Thank you. We love you. You're smart people. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you hit the share, subscribe button, hit those hearts. Let's keep this at the top of the algorithm because this is an important conversation we're going to have today. How do you separate grief from the life of Charlie Kirk, which was equally as tragic as his death? And this is, I'm gonna name off a few things that Charlie Kirk espoused: beating and shooting migrants at the border, laughed at and mocked the death of George Floyd, called him a scumbag, said black women lack the processing power to be able to be successful on their own, which is the responsibility of DEI, called for the death penalty for Joe Biden. I mean, this was not a guy said, hey, if you show up to a rally, bring your guns. That's the only way you're going to protect yourself. Bring your guns. Said a few gun deaths were worth the Second Amendment, which is how he ended up passing away. So, that's been the hard part for me as a staunch sports guy, someone who watches a ton of baseball, watched a full schedule of the ones, the fours, and the 8 o'clock NFL games this weekend. I was stunned at the televised martyrdom, almost the sane washing of an alt-right racist podcaster who espoused violent, racially charged views for the last 13 years and made $400 million doing it.
That's exactly right, and now we're watching him being martyrized by, I mean, MAGA, and we're watching with Donald Trump, and a lot of you people are out there is saying, my voice, and that you're worried that maybe that I'm giving up. Trust me when I tell you, I'm not giving up. I'm not going anywhere, and we're here, and that's why I'm speaking truth to power, and that's why I'm writing the letters. But am I worried? Am I scared? Am I upset? Absolutely, and that's why I want to make sure that you guys really understand how serious it is. I mean, this is not a laugh. I mean, we usually sit here and make and could laugh at a lot of this stuff. We can't even laugh at some of this stuff because that's how serious it is, because of what's happening right now in our world. And right now is such a turning point. Just like they say, they call their turning point what happened to the world, to our country. This should be a turning point. We need to put a stop to this. If we don't put a stop to this now, if somebody doesn't get up there, and the scariest part is what I'm watching, how the Democratic leadership are reacting to all of this. They're on their heels.
Mm.
They're sitting there. They're like, they're scared to talk. They're apologizing for the rhetoric that he said. They're this, yeah, I just, I don't know how to explain it to you, folks, but I was watching, and by accident, I was flipping channels, and by accident, MSNBC was on during the weekend, and Sharpton was on there. Reverend Sharpton was on there, and for a second there, he was going into one of his what's it called speeches, and I stopped to listen for a second because he started off by saying a lot of people don't know Donald Trump like I do, because I fought with him here in New York City for many years. Me and him fought for over, and that I stopped. I said, you know what, I want to hear what he has to say, because he's right. Because Sharpton and Trump went at it for many years, and it doesn't matter on what says what, but that's true. And I was listening to that, and Sharpton said one very extremely smart thing that I keep trying to say to people, to the Democrats, to the leadership, and he said the same thing to the Democratic leadership. He says don't know how they don't know how to fight the man. They are scared. He said Donald Trump respects fighters. Donald Trump, just so you understand, respects Mandawi. even though he calls him a communist and a little communist and all these words, he respects him more than he has more respect to most of the Democrat Party. And that's not to say that, oh, somebody wants Donald Trump's respect. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. The fact what I'm trying to get we need to stand up to Donald Trump. We need a unified message. We need somebody to stand up and not just talk about Donald Trump is this or Donald Trump is that, but start giving things of how it change and how you're going to fix it, and not wait for him to come and change the news cycle. I mean, if we don't do this, folks, I'm telling you right now. I mean, and this is not to scare you, and this is not. I'm telling you just fact. I mean, it is what it is. You're watching it play out. I mean, what you've seen happen this weekend is just the beginning.
Mm,
It's just the beginning because
well, let's get into that. Can we kind of break some of that down, and we'll get to some of the sources what you're hearing, because the beginning of what? That's what a lot of people are going to ask. Is it the beginning of a fascist takeover? No, because that's already started. Is it begin
cult.
MAGA super cult? That's what you're saying. MAGA super cult. Inside chaos, which is a ladder for people like Donald Trump, right? This is where he thrives. This is where MAGA thrives. As much chaos as possible, so they can, work under the cover of night. The assertion is that Donald Trump has been able to take several different issues and pile them underneath the death of one Charlie Kirk, which seems to be at an incredibly opportune time. And again, we're leaving the conspiracy theories aside for today, but what we're trying to do is get you to understand, because this is sort of a roadmap we're going to lay out for you. And Lev's got, some backstory. He's got some sources that he's been working. We've really kind of spent the weekend sort of greasing the tracks to help you understand A, how MAGA is eating MAGA, B, what the strategy is behind, Erica Kirk's very, very bizarre, and I take nothing away from a grieving widow, bizarre 13-minute ode to Jesus, her very strange casket video, which was followed up by taking both of those videos and turning them into a fundraiser that has netted over the weekend $4.3 million in GoFundMe money and tens of millions in donations from super PACs and people through Turning Point USA. So let's just leave that aside. Then we've also got the sane washing of the career of one Charles Kirk, which went fully racist, fully white supremacist, fully Christian nationalist, asking for violence, begging people to understand that the Second Amendment was worth a couple of gun deaths. The constant harassment of hundreds of academics, specifically Black or migrant academics, over the past 13 years that Turning Point USA has been a thing. And you pointed it out earlier, the importance of Charlie Kirk to MAGA. We don't quite understand it, and we'll kind of get into it. But to a guy like Trump, he doesn't look at the death of an ally like it is. He doesn't look at any negative news like it's negative news that might be a bullet in his cult. He looks at this news, if I'm not mistaken, like a golden opportunity to distract, to deflect, to monetize, and to achieve more power, to grab more power, which is the rhetoric that we're seeing, which is now spilling out. And I want to remind everybody, some of the visuals you saw from this weekend were riots in the United Kingdom supported by Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson, where they cited Charlie Kirk's death as a reason to stop immigration into the UK, where hundreds of thousands of people showed up to that rally. And then we had something here in Canada where the Canada First chapter of America First, the Nick Fuentes Groyper group, held a say his name rally where they were summarily kicked out of Christie Pitts, a park not too far from where I live, to be quite honest with you. So the activation behind the martyrdom and coaxing people to say things, and then we've got a blasphemy law that Donald Trump is trying to, and people are getting arrested for this. Greg Abbott had a couple of black women arrested for saying, I don't like Charlie Kirk because he was racist. And he said black women lack the brain processing power to be successful. So, bleep Charlie Kirk. Those women were arrested at Texas Tech University this weekend. So now we have blasphemy laws that are sitting around Charlie Kirk being presented to the entire world as a saint with moments of silence and the freedom of the Presidential Medal of Freedom honor. It is truly a fever pitch, but it's supposed to go in a certain direction, and it's all moving in the proper direction. And I want to get to that because of this desire for Donald Trump to get out from underneath the Epstein files, his green lighting of violence in Russia and Ukraine, starting. Go ahead, yeah.
And think of it, before we get into it, just quickly, just one more thing to add. How many people today have lost their jobs and they're losing their jobs and their lives are turned upside down because they thought they live in a country where they have free speech and now they don't. Because they went out there and decided to make a comment about Charlie Kirk that now they don't like because now they have hit squads set up there. They're searching the web, searching social media, searching everything, and watching if you've commented something bad against Charlie Kirk, that they're going out there after corporations, after company, to your bosses, to basically putting pressure. People are getting fired. People are getting thrown. Just think about what is going on.
The only black reporter at the Wall Street Journal just got fired this morning. No word of a lie, for just posting Charlie Kirk's words. Matthew Dowd got fired from MSNBC on the weekend for saying that violent words beget violent results. That's all he said. To your point, yeah, I mean and those are just two examples of probably dozens. To your point, and this is a fucking America. This is the home of free speech. This is the free speech president, Lev. To your point.
I mean, this is what supposedly they say Charlie Kirk stood up for, was free speech. Supposedly, this is what, it was all about, that he would debate and let anybody speak what they wanted to, and now nobody could say a word. And again, I'm not here to say that, you should be out there celebrating anybody's death or dancing on anybody's grave. That's not about me. But listen, when they did it to George Floyd, or when they did it to, back and forth, and, that's what, is the whole debate about America. What makes us such a great country is because we have free speech.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to, and now we don't have free speech anymore. Now you can't say what you're, and it started as we were talking about. Now we're seeing it play out in real life now on a real series, because it's all started off the past 6-7 months ago, like the story goes, with having to do with Donald Trump, the president, where media was not able to report the way they want, truthfully on him, because if he didn't like the way they reported, or if people in his administration didn't give him numbers that he liked, or that he started. So he started doing away with free speech when it came to him, and now it's coming to free speech in general. I mean, now it's not just, it's to a religion, to a policy, and this is the other crazy thing that we're going to talk about. And by the way, just so to also, if you want to make sure to join me at 3:00, I'm going to have a world-renowned Dr. Steve Hassan, who wrote the book "The Cult of Trump."
Oh, he's great. He's awesome. I love him.
And Stephen, me and him are going to talk about, break it down, how we're watching a perfect storm break out. Because remember, Charlie Kirk brings the Christian national religion cultish aspect to it, to now that was even divided internally mega. That's why you had the gropers. That's why you have the Nick Fuentes. Now even this is uniting them. This is what just listen to me carefully. This is what I'm saying to you. You're watching certain fractions of pure evil in different forms of mega that were already divided, that certain things fractured them, from Israel policies like Nick Fuentes to the Epstein stuff that had to do with the Bannons and the others, and the Laura Loomers and everything, have now, like the perfect storm. Those of you that watched the movie are coming together and formulating under the Charlie Kirk umbrella of either you're with us or you're done. And if you've watched anything, and if you want to touch on Dean a little bit before we get into the international side of it, about how this investigation is being handled, and how you got Kash Patel out there, trying to, the stuff that he's, this is the FBI director, and him, and all of a sudden, folks, guess who's all of a sudden on Fox? Dan Bongino. Where has he been for the past several months? Was hiding under which desk at the White House not to talk about the Epstein? Now he's all over, they're all over TV, all over Fox, him and Cash walking and doing it, and just think about like the way Cash Patel is framing it, the way the media is starting to frame it. Even I was watching CNN today, they're starting to now frame it where, it's starting to move more and more towards that the shooter is being pushed towards leftist, far leftist motives. That he was living with now
A trans roommate.
in process of a trans roommate that is cooperating because I'm sure that roommate is scared shitless right now, the way that's fearing the wrath of almighty everything, that it will say whatever it takes just to, I can't even imagine the interrogation and the threats and what's happening. So I mean,
Yeah, well, listen to that point. I mean, the obfuscation of facts here are nuclear. I watch Cash Patel, who's on his heels right now. Just to give everybody a little backstory, the re-engineering of the intention of the young man that shot Charlie Kirk last week is has been spectacular to watch. I watched Ben Shapiro on Bill Maher this weekend saying, "I'm hearing he's a leftist," and then Bill Maher's like, "Hey, how do you know?" He's like, "I don't." And he's like, "I'm hearing he was a groiper from Nick Fuentes' army." And he's like, "I can't say that he's not, so he might be." I mean, the ambiguity is strategic in itself. However, to your point, the fascinating thing here is that we still know nothing because the gentleman who shot the asshole who shot Charlie Kirk, the young man who shot Charlie Kirk, is not cooperating with the FBI. Now, you can either believe that or not, and I'll tell you why you can believe that or not. Because Cash Patel went on Fox and Friends this morning, and by the way, Cash Patel is now begging for his fucking professional FBI life. Pam Bondi wants him out. Todd Blanche hates him. Dan Bongino hates him. So that's why you saw Cash Patel on Fox News this morning going, and this is what he said. He goes, we had a manifesto, but the FBI burned it by accident. And so we're forensically trying to put it back together. And what we're coming up with right now is a very different ideology that he had than his parents had. And if you know anything about his parents and his family, hardcore MAGA, loved Trump, voted for Trump. And this young man, several pictures of him dressed up as a groiper, several different discords of him with really hard ultra MAGA perspectives. I put a piece out about it this weekend that, the Butler shooter, what's that?
him wearing a Trump.
Yeah, him wearing a Trump Halloween outfit. I mean, like the re-engineering and the re-education of people it happens in a vacuum, and it happens when you have no information to go on. And we've had no information to go on for some time when it came to the allegation of who the shooter was and what his intention is. But the headlines always include something about a trans roommate or a different ideology. And it's something you cannot trust anybody in this fucking regime with. Lev, go ahead.
And this is exactly what you just said, Dean, is the scariest part, and what they're doing, and it's working. And this is, people need to wake up, because people think that just because they're not bringing any evidence, that there's no real, that they haven't come out and said that this is just leaks and headlines, that the truth will come out. Oh, wait till the charging document comes out, which will break it all up, or wait till the trial. Folks, let me tell you what's happening, because I was part of Mega, and we part of that uh, machine that infiltrated the news cycle and changed the news cycle and used it. What's happening right now is, lies are being fed into the hemisphere. All of this, you see, we're talking about it. You see everybody talking about it. The media's talking about this leak. All these leaks and everything that's being talked about is constantly that, and if you read my Substacks, you'll see I even puts up there, Fox put it out there. New York Post is putting out there that, we hear that this transgender, that this, the fighter, he's a leftist ideology. They, when they put out Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica's 13-minute speech, they don't put out there where she talks about how much she loved him or the kids. They put out this precise point where she talks about the devils, they started something really, that I'm going to now finish. They, unleashed, this and this. I'm saying to you. So it's all part of right now the brainwashing that's taking place. That's why when I say we need to build this platform bigger and bigger, because the truth is a lot harder to portray than the lies, is because the lies are already being spread right now already. We're having our trial in the media taking place. Most of the world right now is, through this weekend already has made up an opinion of some sort of that. If you go out there right now and you go do a poll of how many people think that this was a left against the right thing, most people, I guarantee you'll see, will say that this was something to do with the left against right. They won't know. They'll all say, "Oh, I don't know the facts yet, but it had to be left. And why would he shoot Charlie Kirk if he was a rightist?" I mean, you'll hear so much different.
Dude, there was a picture someone re-engineered and photoshopped, to your point, of the shooter Tyler Robinson in a photoshopped picture of him wearing a COVID mask, and they're like, "See, I told you he was a leftist." To your point, yes.
So it's all part of the brainwashing, because to undo that. Now just think about it, because I want you to logically understand. So if you, let's say, you have X millions of people right now that are listening to this, that are hearing this. Now, for them to change their mind, you're going to have to somehow reach out again to all these millions of people, get their attention long enough to show, for them to even want to listen, to watch the truth. And your truth has to be so strong, so powerful, so quick, and still you're not going to get all of them back over. So that's why the campaign right now, that's why you have Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Trump and all of them, and Eric Trump and Don Jr.,
Elon Musk.
And everybody out there flooding, saying it's the left, it's the leftists, it's us against them. That's why Erica made that speech and they made that viral about it's us against them. And then Yahoo came out there and said it's us against them. It's everybody coming out saying it's us against them. And that's the mentality. That's what's being right now brainwashed. It's us against them. And the painting of the far left being evil. And even the way Trump now, just think about the way Trump whitewashes the far right now. Before, the far right and the far left was bad. That's what made America great. We didn't want to go far left or far right. We didn't want.
Yeah, we hated the dickheads on both ends of the spectrum, right? Yeah.
Right. We normal people don't want no radicalization one way or the other. Yes, we want to be, we have a progression we want, but we also want there to be normality. So there has to be a balance. And now Trump's coming out saying, no, it's the far right. Yeah, they might be extremists, but they're extreme for good. They're extreme because they don't want crime. They're extreme because they want safer borders. They're extreme because this is the far right. But the far left, they're the devil in disguise. They want to kill politicians. They want to go out there. Meanwhile, if you take a look at mostly right wing belief, are the shooters usually in all of these major mass shootings. It's not left wing. Which again, I'm not for the far left or for the right. Anybody that knows me, I'm for the middle. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's not even about that.
Yeah, we fucking hate, universally, we all hate extremists. But just to kind of prove your point, Donald Trump is saying that all the bullets come from the left, not the right. It's never the right-wing extremists, it's always the left. 88% of mass shootings have been solely attributed to young men on the far right in the United States since 2015. 88%. 88%. The very facts, like unmitigated, third-party, fucking well-researched facts, dictate that not only is Donald Trump trying to sane-wash, the gaslighting of Americans to believe, specifically his cult, to believe that, oh my God, the left is after us, is a perfect storm for one Donald Trump to create this super cult. And I'm fascinated by that because he has hit fucking pay dirt with the death of maybe one of the most important MAGA influencers in the world.
Oh no, absolutely, and again, what we're watching play out right now is just the beginning. What I'm hearing and what's planned out and what they're setting up. I mean,
Well, let's get into that. Like, what are you hearing? Like, let's get into the super cult. Let's get into what the strategy is, because not only is the framing of the left being a hardcore, and the trans community, which is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I mean, every single headline you see from every single conservative or right leaning mainstream media outlet or podunk, lobby group is the FBI are talking to his trans roommate. It's shooter is trans roommate. Shooter has a trans partner, which, to me is a sexual preference, in as much as it is like, if I killed someone and I like blondes, let's say, or brunettes, it's the same fucking token where someone's going to insert a conversation about my sexual preference or what I'm attracted to vilify an entire community of people who like blondes or brunettes. That's how I look at it. And it somehow appears in every single right wing or conservative or MAGA headline about Tyler Robinson, which is, oh, he had a trans roommate. But again, it's perfect fucking chum for the cult. And I want to get to that now. What are you hearing about this super cult and how they're trying to wrap all this stuff up?
well, what's weird, also just to go back to like remembering being sitting in those rooms and watching all of that play out and knowing and watching their reactions, like how they felt about LGBTQ, about gay rights, about because of their Christian beliefs, about how transgender rights, about all of this, and then interact with like their wealthy gay donors or their gay,
Like Peter Thiel?
like Peter Thiel, like Rick Grinnell, who is, hardcore, same thing. Also watching their beliefs on how much and how they would act towards black people or think about or try or talk behind their back, and then watching prominent black people go out there and do mega for Trump, so, support them and all of that, and basically sell out their souls for money because they all knew, they all saw the writing, like they know, that it's like watching them say right now, oh, Charlie Kirk was stood up for gay people. I mean, that's bullshit. That bullshit. I mean, if you take a look at any clip of Charlie, I mean, his religion is totally against that.
Yep.
Now, did he play the game when he was around a gay person that was consider himself a conservative or Republican or yeah, just like they have what's her name from the Kardashians.
Kim?
No,
Chloe?
no, but the
Oh,
father.
Jenner. Yeah, yeah. Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, just think about it, she like how is she okay with what's going on, but somehow they're okay. They overlook it because it's not, as long as you label them a left transgender or a left gay person or a left what's it called, then it's okay. But if you don't say the left and you say right, then they could be one of ours, like just and how and just think about, like, how are they okay with these movements that for their own like causes, like for black people, that what they went through to go back 100 years, for women to go back, because of what Trump is doing right now with with that they got rid of him totally with Roe versus Wade. Just think about it. We don't even speak about that. Just think about it. We don't speak. Think about what they're doing with our health system. I mean, you got RFK Jr. in there, literally just in Florida, they're doing away with vaccines. I mean, just think about it. No
And not
vaccine.
just COVID vaccines,
No,
all
no
vaccines.
all vaccines. Florida, here we come, Sunshine State, so I don't know what's worse anymore. It's like it's like every morning we could run down a list of laundry lists, and you could say what's worse, what do we deal with today? But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's uniting. No, it's not dealing with one subject at a time. It's dealing with all of it. It's uniting, getting a unified message, getting some leadership on board, standing behind our leadership. It's like building a team. Right now we have to start. We got to have a quarterback. Got to get, or like I'm a sports fan also. We have to build a team. Right now we have nothing. We have individuals floating all over the place while they're picking us apart.
Mm.
State by state, city by city. Uh, it was great to see what Governor Pritzker did. Just think about how he stood up to him, the fighting nonstop, and he was able to succeed where Trump still has not got into it. I'm very surprised because what I was hearing, he was gun ho set, ready to go,
Yeah.
and he switched over to Memphis.
Yeah, Operation Midway Blitz died before it began, and then he's like, "Let's just go attack Memphis. Let's just go attack a red state." But Memphis has the highest murder rate in the United States of fucking America, to that point, and it's a highly red city in a highly red state. But it is, to your point, a wonderful distraction from all of those things, which kind of takes me down the road to talk about what's going on in Europe. And if you're seeing hundreds of tanks and and hundreds of pieces of military equipment and 40,000 Polish troops being sent to the border between Belarus and Poland and the border between Kaliningrad and Poland. If you're hearing stories of the Eastern Flank Sentry led by Canada, Germany actually operating in Poland right now as preparations are underway for, a much wider conflict. You're plugged in. Voice of Ukraine with Alex is one of my favorite watches, favorite listens. Highly encourage everybody to go and subscribe to Lev right now. And Alex or Alexander, who is your partner, who's probably watching and listening right now. We had him on a couple of weeks ago. We're not talking about that because everybody's talking about Charlie Kirk. We're not talking about the Epstein files for the same reasons. But if we center on what's going on in Europe, Russia basically said yesterday, we're allowed to send fucking drones to Romania and Russia. And if any allied countries shoot those drones or ballistic missiles that are meant for fucking citizens and people while they're sleeping in Ukraine, we are going to war with everybody. We're on the precipice of that war. And Donald Trump has zeroed support for the EU's eastern flank. He's told the entire European Union, instead of threatening Russia, he threatened NATO and EU this week to stop buying U.S. oil instead of just ending the fucking conflict, which he can tomorrow with the fucking snap of his fingers. So this fits in perfectly as a wonderful distraction, but bubbling up is real fucking is a very serious, drum beats of war in the EU, Ukraine in the heart of it, as Russia continues to pound Ukraine. What are you hearing from your sources about what's going on over there, Lev?
Everything that we've been reporting is now playing out exactly what I hate to say I told you so, but it's exactly what's been worked out a month ago, a few weeks ago, when this whole fiasco to distract from the Epstein files happened with the whole Alaska meeting, and then having the EU leaders grovel at his feet with
Yeah.
pictures, walking them through giving them Trump 2028 hats, promising the world of a meeting between Zelensky and Putin, having Caroline Levin come out, double down, triple down. Putin promised this meeting, only to see Putin go out to China and flex his chest, come out of the masks, they all took the masks down, and basically showed the world exactly what Donald Trump has made and forced everybody to do. And then basically now you're seeing it unfold. The intensification of attacks on Ukraine are happening every day. A couple of days ago, Putin sent in about 19 drones into Poland. Not one drone, but 19 drones. So this wasn't some mistake by accidentally a drone.
Romania too. Yeah.
Romania too. The Romanian drones, actually, just like Dean said, just think about they didn't shoot them down, so they came back out and went and hit and killed people in Ukraine, while Poland had to, get NATO air, planes in the air, shut down their airplanes, and take down 19 drones. And Trump's response to that was basically, I don't like it. But the drones fell. I don't even know what he said. The drones fell something, and
Oh, he mocked it. He's like, "Oh, Poland has Russian drones. Here we go." Like,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and it's again everything that we've been talking about because it's Trump basically, gave Ukraine to and Eastern Europe, not just Ukraine, but Eastern Europe to Russia to do with what he wants, and now we're seeing it unfold. And to what Dean was saying, I want you to all understand what happened. So, Donald Trump gave an ultimatum to NATO. This is his new ploy. So every time if you watch, it's like you keep, it's like they get if you watch on TV, there's a person walking and there's a $20 bill laying on the floor, and right as you're about to pick it up, somebody yanks it and moves, and you keep chasing it, and somebody moves. Well, that's what Donald Trump keeps doing with the
Mm.
every time he tells you, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put secondary sanctions. I'm tired of Russia. I'm going to be really tough with Russia. And we're all sitting here waiting. The media is reporting, not us, because we told you, the fact nothing's going to happen. And now all of a sudden, as the deadline comes, sanctions. So he tells NATO that they have to stop buying Russian oil. They have to put up more sanctions. And if they do all of that, then and only then will the great Donald Trump and put some secondary sanctions on that. Now, some of you might right away, the first reaction I see a lot of social media people say, oh, what's wrong with that? Like, why should NATO be buying Russian oil? And why is that shouldn't be that big of a deal? Well, let me stop you for a second because there are certain countries in NATO,
Hungary.
but there's certain countries in NATO that happen to be, I'm not even going to go into the 100 or the ones that depend on it or their life, but I'm going to go into I'm going to name two of them that are NATO that will not stop buying Russian oil. I don't care what Donald Trump says. One of them is Hungary, that's called Viktor Orban, and the other one is called Turkey. It's so those are both NATO countries. They're not going to stop buying Russian oil. They're not going to stop talking to Russia. They're not going to stop dealing with Russia. They're not going to stop. They're just not going to.
And Trump knows that.
Well, that's why he did what he did. He did say the EU countries. He didn't specifically say which countries, like which countries are you talking about? He said all NATO countries, all NATO countries. So it's basically like giving you a proposal, a proposition that you can't succeed, and that's part of the dictator. It's like
That's the delay game, right? Yeah.
well, it's like, the guy, it's like the guy sitting in front of you and you're giving him two options. You could die by, I'm just going to shoot you right now in the head, or you could start running and we're gonna just start shooting at you until the bullet hits you. I mean, you're still gonna it's just a matter of slow death. So Donald Trump is giving you your like options of that either option is no good. Either way you look at it, it's no it's a death trap. I'm saying to you, no, NATO's not going to stop buying oil. So now what Donald Trump's gonna come up and say, it wasn't me. I wanted to stop him, but if they want to keep buying oil and if they want to continue propaganda, it's their fight. Let them deal with it.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, you know what? That he put out a tweet this weekend, and that's what we're kind of talking about, which really set the table for yet another great distraction, but also really espoused what we're talking about, which is his incredible support for Russia, where he said, effectively, to your point, and he knew this going into the tweet, he knew this going into the Truth Social post. Hey, listen, I'm ready to do my part, but every single NATO country has to stop buying Russian energy. Well, Turkey's never going to do it. Hungary's never going to do it. The good news about Hungary is Orban's on life support. If you look at what's going on in Hungary, it looks like Hungarians are going to take back their country depending on how Orban treats free and fair elections. And I don't put it past him to not. However, that's a mug's game for Donald Trump. He knew, he hedged his bets. he said, "Oh well, I'll step in." And keep in mind, he's been promising to step in for 7 fucking months while drawing back support, not just for Ukraine, not just zeroing support for Ukraine, but also zeroing support for the eastern flank of the EU and excoriating NATO into carrying the entire load minus the United States. That is the spine of NATO and has been for the past 75 years. So if you actually think that Donald Trump put out that tweet to your point, Lev, and you're like, oh, good, it looks like Donald Trump's actually going to go hard on Russia. If you read the actual fucking True Social post, it was just another fucking mirage. It was just another opportunity for Donald Trump to go, 2 weeks. I'll give it 2 weeks. And he gave NATO and the EU an impossible task because Putin owns Hungary. Putin owns Turkey. You might say, well, Erdogan's the guy saying it's all an act. It's all an act because all of these dictatorial regimes need each other's dictatorial regimes to stay relevant and in power, Lev. That's my take.
Oh, 100%. And the one thing I've been working on, and it's coming together, but I could tell you it's going to be explosive to see once I put it together what actual compromise Russia and the KGB and the FSB has on Trump, Witkoff, and others, powerful people in the Trump administration, donors, and others that, not that they, and the crazy part is like literally Russia stepped into shit. You know what I mean? They basically could never have planned or imagined that so much of their people that they see, it's like a fishing net. So what they go out there is all these agencies like, North Korea, China, Russia, they have all their, we do the same thing. The CIA does it all over the world, is infiltrate our country, is they, pick these all these type of individuals, either in high net worth positions, political, or what's it called? Financial, judges, lawyers. I mean, you name it. Every sphere of the
ideological, religion. Yeah.
So what they received with Trump coming into the Oval the second time around, and with the administration and the group of individuals that they've been targeting and dealing with for over, we're talking about decades of compromised information of so many different people. It's just crazy to watch, and that's why now it's more imperative than ever that we have to make sure that we stand up and keep calling out, no matter how dangerous it is, no matter how scary it is, no matter how threatening it is. If we don't do it now, we're going to lose our democracy. We're going to eventually, it's like I want to read this quote I put out by. It's actually Churchill. Churchill wrote this quote. Hold on a second. Where is it? Right.
I'm a big Churchill guy, by the way.
Yeah. And he wrote this quote, and it said, "Appeasement is feeding the crocodile, hoping it will eat you last." What we need to know is that the crocodile is at our door, folks. Thank you. So that's what's happening right now, is all these people that are trying to appease Donald Trump and hoping that they are not the ones that are going to be eaten. They're not going to be the ones. I'm telling you, your time will come. That's a very powerful quote that I think we all need to take into consideration today, that everybody needs to stop appeasing and instead standing up to the crocodile. Otherwise, we're all going to get eaten because he's a.
Yeah, well said, dude. Thank you very much for putting a little history in there from someone who actually stood up to the crocodile when it mattered. Hi to Michael Cohen, who's in. Unfortunately, we're wrapping up. Cohen, we're going to get you back on this week. Love you, brother. You're doing some great work as well. As always, everybody follow Michael. Everybody follow my friend Lev, whose piece today on his final warning needs to be heeded with some serious respect. Paid or free subscribers, doesn't matter. But your paid subscription goes a long way to keeping everybody moving forward, keeping us in the game, keeping us together, and giving us the opportunity to kind of feed you the information that you need today to affirm your values, affirm your virtues, affirm the facts of what's going on, that you're being rugged. You're being rugged by the President of the United States. You're being rugged by a really hateful, violent, mega ideology. You are being rugged by a group of people who want nothing more than to subject you to militant treatment because of your views. This is not a free speech government. We're seeing that happen right now with arrests in Texas of people who just simply don't like Charlie Kirk, and maybe put out a tweet the other day that said, "I don't like him. I'm glad he's dead." And listen, we live in a world where Charlie Kirk advocated for the people to have that perspective, because he also called George Floyd a scumbag and said he's glad George Floyd's dead. And we all sat back and went, "Oh, okay, is that freedom of speech or is that hate speech?" Listen, it's all hate speech when you advocate for, or you take joy in anybody's death. No one's happy here about the death of Charlie Kirk. No one's celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. No one is advocating for more violence. We're trying to explain to you the purpose of this violence, how the Trump regime is weaponizing this violence to be able to take control, not just of the United States, but of your thought crimes before you even do anything. Things that you tweet, groups that you join, protests that you show up to. That's the goal here. And it's not just in America, it is spilling over globally. We saw what happened in the UK the other day. We know what's going on in the EU. You and Alex have done incredible work. Everybody, please subscribe to my friend Lev Parnas. Paid or free, doesn't matter. They're giving you the Coles notes about what the game plan is, which is a super cult that doesn't just penalize dissenters from Donald Trump's MAGA movement in America. It has the ability to do that around the world. There was a quick, and I'll end with this. There is a threat that was leveled at foreigners via the Trump regime this weekend. If you celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, we will ban you from the United States or detain you and arrest you when you fucking get here.
Yeah,
So,
Marco Rubio just went on live TV, just doubled down on that and said that if you are a foreigner and we find on your social media that you were rejoicing or talking bad about Charlie Kirk, don't even try to come to the United States.
yeah, think about that. Think about that. Think about the idea that you just dissented, or you're like, "Hey, I'd like to point out Charlie Kirk's violent, racial, and white nationalist history." And you get to the border for a family vacation going to Florida. Let me put it in the fucking first person. You're going to Disneyland. You plan this trip the whole week, and you may have said something about Charlie Kirk, and you got biometrics on your phone. Not only will you get arrested and detained and sent to a nice facility, you'll get banned from going to the United States forever because you just thought that Charlie Kirk was a bad guy, which he was. Which he was. Good people don't ask their entire country to whip and shoot migrants. Good people don't ask for the death penalty for Joe Biden or other migrants. Good people don't ask 12-year-olds to watch fucking executions in the town square. He was not a good person in my estimation. It doesn't mean that anybody should have ever violently taken this man out. Violence is never the answer, but just thought processors now are being policed, and this is being turned into policy to create a super cult, and no one knows more about it because he's worked his sources and he's trying to tell you, he's been ringing the bell. You have to follow Lev Parnas. Free or paid, doesn't matter. Lev, always, always good to see you, my man. Always. Thank you very much for your time again today.
You too, my brother. Always with you, Dean, and I look forward to doing it again. Take care.
I love you, pal. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
There you go. Lev Parnas, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow him and subscribe at Lev Remembers, Lev Parnas at Substack. Listen, we're in a different place. This is not the same place we knew. This is not the end of Trump 2020. This is not pre-Trump. This is not an America or a North America or an environment that we're used to whatsoever. And you can't look at it and pine or opine for those days anymore because those days are over. And I'm just being honest with everybody right now. I'm going to go back to the Erica Kirk video that she put out, 13 and a half minutes, wide ranging, about Jesus Christ, the love of Jesus Christ, evildoers going after evildoers, saying that she's going to get them with the Trump administration and JD Vance, blah, 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 blah. And then you got the open casket. If you go to deanblundell.substack.com, you can read all about it. You can see the videos. You can judge for yourself. All of that over a 96-hour period led to 4.3 million in GoFundMe money donated to the Turning Point USA family or Erica Kirk and the estate of Charlie Kirk. Or if you want to expound that, closer to 15 to 20 million. Those are the early numbers of money that was raised from an email that went out to millions and millions and millions of people, basically about avenging the death of Charlie Kirk with money. Turning Point USA since 2012 has made $400 million. Since 2012. $400 million. They made another 15 this weekend. I've lost people very close to me in the past. I have never asked for money because of it. I'm sure a lot of you people haven't either. Because good people that don't have an agenda don't monetize death. They don't put out videos of perfectly lit videos with perfectly shot 30 to 90-second viral videos crying into someone's casket, which is followed by an email that gets sent directly to millions of people saying you should give us $100,000. That was the top button. It was $5 to $100,000 you could give to Charlie Kirk and his family this weekend. Based on the premises that Erica Kirk they'd and othered everybody in the world this weekend. Based on the premise that we had moments of silence for a guy who asked Americans to take up arms, whip and shoot migrants at the border, and attacked academics, had a hit list of academics and professors, specifically academics and professors of color, and did that for 13 years. And then you've got Donald Trump giving that gentleman, an alt-right podcaster, a racist, white nationalist, extremist podcaster, the Medal of Freedom. Yet a funeral today for Charlie Kirk at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. 60,000 people showed up. By the way, donation kiosks everywhere. That is the game. The game is money. The game is influence. And what is that money supposed to influence? The end of the left, the end of dissension in the United States and around the world. You heard Marco Rubio said it. Lev just repeated it. If you're a foreigner, I'm a foreigner. Trusted traveler status. I have one of those nifty Nexus cards. I can kind of come and go as I please. By the way, I'm not doing that for obvious reasons. I'm part of Team Canada. Not going to happen. And you said anything about Charlie Kirk, which, by the way, I was accused of dozens of times, along with 46 different death threats this weekend. 46. Friends of mine at a publication in Montreal, 176 death threats this weekend for saying Charlie Kirk wasn't a good man, wasn't a nice person, didn't foment American values, real American, progressive, loving, empathetic, kind values. That was not a kind man, specifically if you were not on his Christian nationalist team. He went after you all the time. And advocated for violence against you, by the way. There's only one side that is calling for violence. I haven't seen many people, many centrists, many critical thinkers paint or generalize, Charlie Kirk, MAGA movement, the ultra MAGA movement with that wide brush of fuck him. Doesn't matter to me. And I got to be honest with you. The loss of Charlie Kirk, other than feeding the narrative that we're trying to explain to you, doesn't matter to me. Sure, some people in a nursing home down the street from me aged out this weekend. I put the same amount of importance into their passing as I do Charlie Kirk's. I feel sorry for his kids. I feel sorry for his widow. But that's it. That's all. What I don't feel sorry for is giving you the strategy and the roadmap behind the canonization, the sainting of one Charlie Kirk. Gentleman was not a saint. I don't believe saints exist either, but that gentleman was not a saint. Loving people don't ask for an ongoing mob of white nationalists who threaten black professors at HBUs. They don't. They don't encourage you to bring guns to rallies. They don't tell you to whip and shoot migrants. They don't tell you that black women lack the brain processing power to be successful on their own, which is why we have DEI. And they definitely don't say things like this. Let me read it to you, because I think this is important when we're talking about the unfortunate passing of Charlie Kirk. And regardless of what side of the ledger you're on, it's unfortunate. I don't care that he's dead. He's not a hero. He's a scumbag. He shouldn't be celebrated. 4 comments Charlie Kirk made the same day that George Floyd died. That George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin over a 9-minute period on camera by kneeling on his neck while George Floyd begged for his life. Because George Floyd was black. Not the signposts of a martyr, not the signposts of a saint, not the signposts of anybody we should be offering moments of silence to. And I will absolutely advocate for that perspective and everyone who has it. What I won't advocate is for people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. We have to be honest with people, whether they're alive or dead. We got to be honest about who they are, what they did, because those works are your reputation. Those works are the narrative that people will go with after you go. And what we're seeing right now is the martyrdom of one Charlie Kirk for the same mob that he incited for 13 years. And we're seeing it for a bunch of reasons. We're seeing it because Donald Trump needs distractions. Donald Trump needs to rally MAGA. Donald Trump has never been more vulnerable. The Epstein files, disgusting rating. His approval rating is like 31% now. Tariffs, the death of the U.S. economy, the loss of basic fucking fundamental human rights of every American due to that SCOTUS 6-3 decision that basically says apparent race is a reason to be able to harm, detain, deport, torture every single American in the United States of America. Make sure you remember that. And make sure you remember why this gentleman is being canonized, sainted by the Trump regime. Epstein files, partnership with Putin, his abatement of responsibility to NATO, the EU, and the fact that he's an asshole. He's a dictatorial, authoritarian asshole. Make sure you remember those things. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll be back at 3 o'clock. The 5 Stack with Lev Parnas, the top 5 stories of the day. We'll recap some of these and much more, including getting into what's going on in the EU. Follow us here. We've got 50% off subscriptions, annual and monthly. Founders never pay again, of course. I don't care if you're free or paid. I'm just so grateful. Lev and I, all of us, Michael Cohen, everybody that's involved in this resistance movement, which continues to grow. Which continues to lean on each other to be able to understand what's going on. Paid subs keep us in the game. And I can't thank all of you enough for spending time with us today to kind of sort through what the weekend was. That was the weekend roundup. That was Lev Parnas. Subscribe for him. Subscribe here. Thank you very much, everybody. Don't forget, we'll be back at 3 o'clock. Have a wonderful day. Wonderful day. Stay strong. Believe the truth. Nothing else matters. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.